Fisk. I don't know how you keep that suit white with all the bullshit you pack into it.
Well, that's the guy I've been worried about this whole time. Kingpin.
Like it or not, there is no escaping this.
Oh, is this some Christmas?
Maybe you should ask yourself what kind of person hired you.
I've told the truth and tried to make this city a better place. The people in power decided to tear me down. Believe me.
It'll be the last thing that you do.
I'm ready.
All right, folks. This is, well, yeah, I guess I'm Ronan tonight. I'm not Jeff. No true knowledge. I am Ronan. I am the MCU's bleeding edge, fucking broke dick version of Ronan going on here. And I'll be moderating in my Ronan, personality or character or whatever. So, I don't know what that's going to mean, but we'll see. We're on the bleeding edge. We're live, as always, like we always are on Wednesday evenings. I'm co-hosted by Cybernetic Shark, the veteran YouTuber and a good friend of mine that likes to keep me in line and make sure I'm a good boy. He is the voice of reason on the bleeding edge. And on top of that, as always, we are joined by an eclectic and fun and wonderful group of individuals on our guest panel made up of mostly Geek News Now Network type folks, which is a definite plus since we're a member of Geek News Now, and happy to be there. And I want to shout out Damon and David and all of the fine, wonderful people at GNN. We love you. You guys are great. Can't wait to have all of you at some point get on the bleeding edge and find out what it's like to experience me. It's great. So anyways, we've got Cam struggling through a life and death illness. He has made it anyway from his hospital bed and is on the guest panel on the bleeding edge. Thank you, Cam.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, despite my crippling illness.
It's all right,
Man,
Cam. Hey.
Look, technically, any illness could be life or death if you don't end up surviving.
Look, I mean, I get it. With the bleeding edge, I mean, I can see why somebody would be like, almost like about to die, but still come on the show and want to like do their duty and shit. You feel me? I get it. I understand, but it's all good.
Absolutely.
We're happy to have you, Cam, as always. We're going to have Cam for a short period of time. So we're going to make the most out of his ass while we got him, because he don't play. He delivers. On top of that, might as well stick with the GNN folks and go right to Chris. Chris, you know what? I'm not even going to introduce you. I'm just going to let you do it, man, because you're the man.
Thank you very much. Hey, I'm Chris. I'm also known as Vase. It's a Vase production. I'm also known as Vaz. I don't really care how people pronounce things. But, I do a lot of stuff for GNN. I host their MCU Mondays. We talk about a lot of the same stuff you hear on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. But we got our style, and these guys have their style, and I like both our styles. So sometimes I like to come hang out here. Sometimes I like to do it over there. We're Monday nights. They're Wednesday nights. And we all like to talk about, we're all fans, right? So it's good to hang out and talk.
That's right. You know what? And at the end of the day, Chris is one of those rare individuals where I would rather just go ahead and let him fucking tell people who he is, because I want to make sure that I get it right.
Who are you? There's, who's anyone?
That's right.
It's so much more than, hey, here's my, but thank you.
Chris doesn't know what to do when he comes on the bleeding edge, because he's kind of fucked up too, just like me, and out there a little bit and whatnot, so like, this is such an open creative space for him. He doesn't even know what to do with it.
I do try to be more conservative and let's stick to the facts when I'm on like Geek News Now. We have our fun, don't doubt it, but it is like under Geek News Now, so I feel like an obligation to be a little bit more.
I hear you, man. Me too. Like obviously you can tell by like some of the shit that I do and like say and whatnot during our shows that I definitely agree with you, and I'm trying to do the same thing, you know. But no, I'm not really doing that. But at the same time, it's all good. You know what I mean? And you know, I don't blame you, man. I mean, I wouldn't copy the bleeding edge model either. You know, it's probably not a logical fucking thing, but hey, it's all good, man. So beyond that, once again, sorry it took me so long to get to you, Renee. I'm sorry if you felt lonely and like I wasn't like paying attention to you.
Oh, I'm
But
fine.
Renee is back from the Sakar.freeforums.net podcast of Champions group, a friend of the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and it is nice to see you again, Renee.
Oh, thank you. Nice to be here.
And I want to go ahead and just really quick just shout out Renee and let her know that we really, really appreciate the fact that she has stuck with us and rolled with us all through the Hawkeye series, episode after episode. So, you know what? That's great. Anytime you can have something like that go on, I certainly appreciate the hell out of it.
Well, thank you.
You know, and you definitely contribute and bring something to the table too. So, you know, you're no joke. Don't fool around with Renee. All right. I got my comment section actually working tonight. I have no idea what any of these stupid comments are that I get in the comment section. You are to ek? I don't know what that means, man. Is that like Klingon or some shit? No idea.
It's yeah, let's call it that.
All right, cool. You know, Cyber,
spam bots, dude. It's
Cyber,
proof you're popular.
We might need you to dedicate some time to do some research, Cyber, so you can understand the delusional like bullshit that people put in the comment section at times.
I understand it usually because I'm on there quite often, so I've seen comments like that before. So it's usually a link that they're trying to send you that they want you to click on.
Yeah.
Well, I might actually. It actually makes me think. You know, I might actually contact. You know, what's it called? What is it? What is it? That informational, educational website that you can go on.
Wikipedia.
No, the one that offers courses.
Skillshare.
Yeah, Skillshare. I was thinking maybe I should like, you know, hit Skillshare up and see if they'd be down to let me do a course where I'll educate and explain to people how to translate straight gibberish. You know what I mean? Like, I think that could be really, really worthwhile. So anyways, you know what? Like, the highlight for me has always been when we had a Nazi in the comment section one time. So if anybody tonight can like outdo a Nazi coming on, that would be fucking hot. I'd like that. That would be good. You know. Anyways, so on to the actual like reason why we're here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We are here to do a Hawkeye finale review. Yes, the damn Hawkeye series is over already, man. Shit, it's done. You know, we got no Marvel coming up after that. We don't know what's going on. We're blowing in the wind. I mean, Cyber, has anything changed? Do we have any official idea about what's coming next?
The last like hearsay I've heard is that probably the next one will be She-Hulk. Because that's what they were kind of referring to, like when Kevin Feige had one of his like he did an interview or something like that. He was a lot of talk about She-Hulk was in the mix, and he kind of was like saying, "Oh, probably the next thing you'll see is She-Hulk." And I think that's the reason why we got so much of Kingpin in Hawkeye, and then also in No Way Home, we got that kind of that Matt Murdock thing. I think that was kind of a prelude to She-Hulk too, because they're trying to ramp us up to get ready for that courtroom, that vibe of like what Daredevil brought from Netflix. So I that's the last thing I heard was supposedly that's probably what's going to come next, along with What If Season 2. So we might see What If Season 2 before we see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness 2 as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was a very valuable and informative comment there, Cyber. I appreciate that. You know what? I mean, I know this is a little bit off topic, but I want to go ahead and open up real quick just on this, just a little mini segment real quick and just go around the table on this topic of what's next from a Disney Plus series standpoint. What fits? What do you think works from a balance standpoint? What have you heard? Chris, what do you think, man? What do you think we'll get next? What would you like to see come next?
Well, obviously, Multiverse of Madness has been like, I was looking forward to that more than Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man ended up being, since I first heard about it and then saw it, like the hype got bigger. The movie itself was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm still very much looking forward to Multiverse of Madness. That's what I want to see next. As far as what might come next, I like what Cybernetic Shark was just saying about She-Hulk, and especially considering that we just saw so much Kingpin. We're going to talk about that when we talk more about Hawkeye. But we also got that Charlie Cox. I'm a really good lawyer. I mean, that was literally in the spot. So you got that confirmed.
Spoilers.
It's putting all these pieces together. I don't know what they thought they were going to get. If we're talking about the season finale, we're talking about it. Yeah, spoilers. And we're talking about where it's going to go from here. I mean, that's like future spoilers. So spoilers.
Well, out of the Disney Plus series, Chris, what would you personally like to see come out other than She-Hulk?
I'm excited for. Well, I know Secret Wars is like happening because there've been tons of hints of that throughout all the last things we've seen. Like we saw it in WandaVision, we saw it in that, we saw it in the last Spider-Man movie before this one, and it was referenced again in this one when he's talking about the Nick Fury the whole time, and then Nick Fury's been off planet. So we also we have Secret Wars, but I want to see Armor Wars. What I want to see is what's his face come back, the guy from Iron Man 2.
Oh, Justin Hammer?
Sam Rockwell's character. Sam
yeah.
Rockwell as Justin Hammer. I want him to come back because if they can do all the great stuff that they're doing, Sam Rockwell's amazing. He was amazing in Iron Man 2. Just bring him back. So if you're asking me what I'm looking forward to, it's Justin Hammer in Armor Wars. That's kind of like my secret hope, But what I really want to see now that they've like Cybernetic Shark was saying, now that we've seen Vincent D'Onofrio, now that we've seen Charlie Cox, and now that we know that She-Hulk is coming up and she's a lawyer, and it would be amazing to see some of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is the stuff that I'm looking forward to.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that because I'm a big Daredevil fan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad you brought that up. That is a great reason to want She-Hulk to be the next series that comes out, because that means that hopefully we'll get not just Charlie Cox, but Matt Murdock, but maybe we'll actually get a Daredevil in the suit Daredevil. That would be good. So moving on from that, going to you, Renee, are you happy if She-Hulk ends up being the next series? Do you feel like that fits? Is that a good balance off of the Hawkeye and the What If? What if we end up with What If season 2 as the next series? Because I've heard that potentially could happen. What do you think?
Well, I haven't watched too many of the What Ifs. I've watched a couple of them. As far as for someone like myself, I think it's whatever comes. I don't have a whole lot of expectations because I'm not.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be.
Yes. Go ahead, Renee.
I'm sorry. Something interrupted me there.
Oh, it's okay. Technical difficulties.
Okay. Anyway, it's just what's coming next as far as the TV shows go. Probably the Oscar Isaacs, because that's just because he's in it, that has me excited. And likewise, I'm looking
Moon
forward
Knight
to the next Daredevil. I mean, not Daredevil, but the next Doctor Strange outing. So I'm looking forward to both of those. But yeah, I'm pretty loose. Whatever comes, I'm just gonna be open to it, and not be disappointed when my favorite guy doesn't come on or something.
Hey man, like I said,
Sure.
the meme said that you couldn't hear, Renee. The meme that you couldn't hear said, "Could be good, could be shit." There you go. That's it right there.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, look who's back.
Sorry about that. My browser crashed.
Cam heard the word Moon Knight and he just bounced. He was like, you know what? The hell with Moon Knight.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Moon Knight's what I'm most excited
just kidding,
for.
Man. I'm just joking, dude. It was a good setup. She said Moon Knight and you were out.
Yeah, my browser crashed. My stuff ain't exactly the most reliable.
Nah, hey, it's all good, bro. It's all good. As long as we get it done, we get it done. So, anyways, Cam, hey, I'm stoked for Moon Knight too. But the question is, are you happy if She-Hulk is going to be the next Disney Plus series? Do you feel like that fits? If it's, I've heard rumors that it might be What If season 2. What do you think? And then, is there one show in particular that you'd like to see?
Well, yeah, I'm I mean, I'm certainly happy that they're doing She-Hulk at all. Whether or not she comes next, I mean, it's not necessarily a huge deal for me. My main holdup is I don't want them to release these shows in a way that bounces too much, so much around the timeline that it starts to confuse the viewers.
Mhm.
I don't want it to be a situation like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where it's like, okay, well, this person died in season 2, episode 3, but then they were alive again in season 3, episode 6. So what's happening here? You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited for She-Hulk. I don't know very much about her character, to be honest with you, but I mean, I'm excited for the fact that this show is going to give me more of an opportunity to explore that character. Um, and as far as what I'm, wanting to see and what I'm most looking forward to, I mean, definitely Moon Knight. I love the idea of his character. I haven't read many of his comics. I mean, I have seen little snippets of him here and there, but um, I love the idea of his character. I love Oscar Isaac. I think he's a fantastic actor, and from what I've seen of some behind the scenes type stuff, it looks like he's really committing himself to the stunt work as well. So I'm hoping that if nothing else, we'll get some really exciting and well filmed action.
So you're talking. So okay. So you're focusing on the action aspect. You're saying that like he's really like been putting the work in and whatnot to really be doing the stunts when it comes to the combat and everything.
Well, yeah. With a character like that, obviously action's going to be a huge part of it. But what we've discussed this before. For the most part, when I watch the MCU, what keeps me coming back are the characters, the drama that gets generated. The action is often really good. The spectacle is often really exciting. But what keeps me coming back is well written characters. Really good relatable situations that they find themselves in, where it goes beyond just they experience some kind of emotional turmoil just because something happened. I want them to be challenged not only physically but emotionally as well. That's why movies like The Winter Soldier are some of my favorites, because you do see a lot of that.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's a really good point to make, to be completely honest with you, Cam, because I know it sounds kind of weird, and I don't know how to necessarily totally explain or define what it is that I tangibly see in the connection. But I feel like there is a possibility that the Moon Knight series could actually in some way come off in a way kind of like Captain America, Winter Soldier, like that vibe. I could see it going in that direction. And honestly, I mean, I think that for me, the way I see it, if you're not excited for Moon Knight, then like I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. And really, I mean, for me, when I look back at looking at the teasers that were put out from the Disney Plus Day event or whatever, the little bit of snippets that they put out, the way Oscar Isaac's voice was in the trailer when he spoke, his voice was different than anything I've ever seen from him. I've never heard him talk like that before, ever, in anything. And I thought it was great. So anyways, moving on. Before we get into the Hawkeye finale review, I want to just really quick jump into something that is really, really, really in demand as far as like conversation right now. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Everybody here on the show has seen it. Spoilers for everybody out there who has not. But we're going to do just a quick, run around the table real quick a couple times and just kind of BS on Spider-Man real quick, kind of loose, and then we'll jump into the Hawkeye review. So I guess just starting off with you, Cyber, you just saw Spider-Man. What were your highlights?
Everything about this movie was fantastic. I mean, it definitely was very fast paced. It almost felt like an extension of Far From Home for me. But other than that, I thought overall it was a really fantastic film. I love what they did with the villains from the other universe. I love that they explained it. I liked the evolution and the thought of them trying to like fix them basically to so that they don't want to be criminals anymore. I thought that was an interesting concept. and definitely the ending of the film, that final battle sequence was just so much fun, and getting all that awesomeness that we've been all speculating about since this movie was being made and all that, came to fruition. So that was really fun. I just really enjoyed it overall.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what I really enjoyed. I was just looking around real quick at the screen, and I saw Chris and his window, and it looked like it was flipped, like horizontal and shit. And it kind of reminded me of like my acid tripping days in a way. It was a nice flashback there for a minute. But anyways, so Chris, since I've already brought you into the focus here, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts? Spider-Man, man.
Well, you were there on MCU Mondays. We just talked about that is entirely what we talked about with Spider-Man. So you know a lot of my thoughts on it. But for anyone who didn't get to hear us, I'll throw out some quick things. It was very much different than your typical MCU Spider-Man film. This was actually a departure from Iron Man Jr. and more a transition into classic comic Spider-Man and Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Again, the parts with all the Spider-Man together were some of the best. And not even then, but yes, then there were some memes that were just brought to life on screen. And it's like, thank goodness you didn't miss this opportunity, because when I saw them all pointing at each other and doing the which one the meme, that one, I was just like, yes. When Willem Dafoe was like, I'm something of a scientist myself, I was like, yes. And then the fight scenes when he's going, Willem Dafoe also is the standout actor of this film. I have to give him the utmost credit for he should win. I think he should win like a best supporting actor for this. Like if they give it anything, at least he should get that. But it's really great. I'm not gonna say it's perfect, because the whole the suit fabricator thing that they brought out, I was like, it can just make anything. We'll just have it make anything. I was like, oh, okay. But then I was like, that's a comic book. It was so minor that I was enjoying the film so much that it could just do that. Like, that's the thing about this film, is it is just so much fun that you're just like, who cares? I'm enjoying the hell out of this. It's a blast. It made me, and hearing the people cheer, it was amazing to actually go to a theater and enjoy the theater experience. I loved hearing people cheer at different parts, different sections of the theater erupted. Sometimes it was all of us, sometimes it was like just certain people in different, but throughout the entire movie, people are cheering. It's amazing. It's good.
Well, most definitely. And like I was saying in the comments there on the screen, I'm telling you, I do not know how Ronan drinks alcohol and whatnot while he's getting his Ronin on and shit and everything in his costume. But he must know some strategies or tips or something like that or whatnot to be able to make it happen, because I'm over here trying to get my buzz on.
Now, see, you're just emulating the wrong character, okay? Ronan would not be getting drunk before going out to assassinating people. Now, you're going to be looking for Deadpool, all right? How does Deadpool drink with that mask on? That's who would have the answer to that question.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Deadpool is just crazy. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's why he's the perfect person to ask. He's probably dealt with this problem before. Ronan would be like, you're shaming me. You're shaming yourself.
Well,
you're shaming my entire disintegrated family right now.
There you go. That's why Wolverine, if you look at all of his costumes over the years and the decades and everything, has never worn a mask that covers up his mouth, because he needs to be able to fucking get drunk. It's that simple.
But he can't. He can't get drunk because of his healing factor.
But you know what I'm saying, though. He's always drinking beer all the time and everything. You know what I mean? In the comics and whatnot.
Well, yeah. Maybe it wears off very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And smoking cigars, I assume, again, because he can't get liver disease or lung failure. Although, if you have seen Logan.
That's a great point for Chris.
That adamantium catches
Great connection to Captain America, the First Avenger, when he can't get drunk anymore because of the super soldier serum. It's the same deal with Wolverine, because he, again, was one of the super soldier serum experiments. I think he was number 10 or 12 or something like that.
Weapon X.
Weapon X, yes. Cam, Spider-Man, what were your highlights?
Well, as far as highlights, definitely seeing Matt Murdock make a little cameo was very unexpected. For the most part, a lot of this movie went kind of basically the way that I thought it would. So even though I didn't run into any spoilers, there wasn't a whole lot that surprised me. Not that it wasn't still, really exciting to see, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, everybody all come together, see all these villains again. It still went kind of the way I thought it would. I thought it was a really good film. It's I'll be perfectly honest. I kind of like the Spider-Verse movie just a little bit more than this one. I still think that it's just a little bit better, but but Far From Home or No Way Home is definitely in my top 3 favorite Spider-Man films for sure. And I think that it's Chris kind of said it earlier. This is definitely very much a film about how Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man and not just Peter Parker with all this tech. We see him in his dingy studio apartment at the end. We hear his landlord talking about rent at the end. It's like, okay, we're back in Spider-Man territory now.
That's right. Yeah, Cam, they are. They're definitely setting up a more comic book accurate Peter Parker. That's what they're doing. That's what they're going to give us, I hope. And I hope what that means is that we're also going to get things like Kingpin becoming a part of his universe, potentially. You know what I'm saying? As a villain, because he's big in the comics with him. I hope that means that they decide to do what they should do, the smart move, the logical move, and go ahead and real quick connect Spider-Man with Daredevil, and build that connection, build that relationship. Because it's a special one in the comics. It's very practical. It makes sense. Daredevil's in Hell's Kitchen. Spider-Man covers the entire New York City, does all the boroughs basically fighting crime. They're both New York City products, Same reason why you get a lot of Spider-Man and Punisher and Daredevil and Punisher in the comics. You know what I mean?
That's also why you had like Luke Cage, the whole Defenders. They're all like New York super. So many of these guys are based in New York. I mean, that's where Avengers Tower is. But who bought that? That's another question that was thrown up in the air. But you're absolutely right. As far as Daredevil and Spider-Man go, I'm just going to throw this out there again. And I'm not trying to throw a wrench into anyone's gears when I say this, but yes, it makes perfect sense to have Spider-Man and Daredevil hang out. People were actually complaining I saw it in comments on Facebook that he didn't swing by at some point, like in this last episode of Hawkeye. But the thing about Spider-Man is he's still owned by Sony. So anything that happens with Spider-Man connecting with MCU characters has to be an agreement between Disney and Sony. And so they have to come together on that. So I don't know how much Spider-Man you're going to be seeing in a Disney Plus live action show, and now that's where kind of all this goes up in the air, because they have the old Fox Spider-Man shows. They own that now because they bought Fox, but now the character is owned by Sony. And so anything they do, they have to like work together on. So it's going to be tough for them to do something on Disney Plus. Now, again, I'll always throw this out there. Both Disney and Sony love money. That's why they've been throwing these movies together. But if you do remember the end of Spider-Man, like we were saying, they're setting up a much more comic Spider-Man, as in not associated with the Avengers, as in not associated with the MCU, as in very much friendly neighborhood Spider. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how much. I wish that they would bring Daredevil and Spider-Man together, but I don't know.
They should get me involved in the conversation and the communication and the negotiation between Marvel and Disney and Sony, because I can tell you right now, I'm not afraid to play like Kingpin and play dirty and shit. And I would just like set up Amy Pascal, with like Hugh Jackman, like a naked Hugh Jackman or whatever, like have him throw himself at her or whatever, and beat it up real quick.
These are your negotiations?
Beat it up real quick, drug her, you know what I mean? And then like force her to sign a fucking contract, like giving Spider-Man back to Marvel Studios and Disney. That is done. Done deal.
When that kind of shit happened behind closed doors, Harvey Weinstein, it still got found out. Okay. So the thing you're suggesting is absolutely ridiculous.
No, man. I'm talking about. Listen, this is very feminist driven here. Like I'm talking about.
I regret saying what I said.
This is pro woman, man. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I mean, hey, independent, strong women are they appreciate and and deserve really hot, attractive men like Hugh Jackman to pursue them like that, And Amy Pascal probably hasn't gotten any action in a while, so I mean she looks pretty stiff. Anyways, that's okay. Renee, Spider-Man.
Yes.
What do you think, man? I haven't heard anything really from you about it so far.
Well, I saw it yesterday and I enjoyed it. I mean, it ticked all the boxes as far as what I expect from a Marvel movie. Yeah, I think talking about how Peter Parker has now, at the end of the film, nobody knows him at this point. Nobody. So the only person he's going to have to turn to somebody. So Daredevil, I think, would be the logical choice for him to become friends with, so that he's going to have to talk to somebody about this and his life and everything. Plus the fact that they've sort of entered an adult phase it's no longer about teenagers in high school. The two buddies are going off to MIT. Of course, they're going to be developing all kind of wonderful tech things for the for the Avengers down the road, but we can assume. And I guess he's just going to finish high school. It showed you throw a GED book down, so I guess he's just going to go get his test and be done with it that way. So yeah, he's put himself into a very, very lonely, isolated spot at the end of the movie. So the plot going forward, I think at least his personal plot will be to how he comes again, makes himself known to his friends again and everything. So there'll be a process there. Overall, I thought the action was really great. I loved everything about it. I will say I think the three Peter Parkers, three Spider-Mans together went on just a little too long and got a little too precious in places. I mean, other than that's just a minor criticism for me. Overall, I give it a good A.
Got you. Real quick, before I go to Cyber with a comment, I just wanted to ask you, Chris, have you heard about this new breaking news? What'd you think, Chris?
I missed part of it, but I think it was making fun of the director of the.
What do you think? Is that G&N approved? Do you think David and Damon would like that?
I think you should ask them.
I will. Hey, man, it's not my fault that Chloe Zhao, obviously is not a professional, doesn't know what she's doing, and she failed that shitty little town as medical services. I mean, look what happened to that poor guy.
I don't know anything about that. So I don't know the story that's referencing. I don't understand it. So it's just.
Well, it's very obvious that Chloe Zhao gave a directive to to her assistants there, the medical assistants, to just not even bother putting their hands out and holding on to that dude on the stretcher.
Dude, it's all fabricated, Chris. It's fake. It's a meme.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I don't give a shit about it one way or the other. Does that answer your question? Who cares? Why are you asking me this? We haven't even gotten to Hawkeye yet.
Okay.
What do you want?
Chris, are you pissed off right now? Have I insulted you in some way?
I just don't know why you're what? I don't.
Hey, listen, bro.
Know how to react to that. I gave you my reaction. That's not good enough. So
hey, look, man.
I came here to talk about Hawkeye. I told you I had an hour. You're burning
Chris,
through it.
Hey, listen, bro. Here's how it is, man. I'm a good dude. You're a good dude. If you have a problem with me, and there's a problem, and you're gonna talk shit to me, then you don't even. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Did I just talk shit to you?
Well, I'm not gonna kiss your ass.
Let's get on to Hawkeye, guys. Let's get on to Hawkeye.
You don't have to kiss my ass. I just told you.
I'm just saying. Nobody did anything to you, bro.
Did I do anything to you?
You tell
Guys,
me.
come on, guys. Come on, let's
What do you
move
want?
on.
I don't know what you want. Okay, I tried to react to the thing. I have no idea what it was. So I just
Whatever,
said I
dude.
don't know.
Nobody
Let's-
demanded anything from you.
Stop. Let's move on. Hawkeye.
That shit was crazy. All right, whatever. Yeah, Hawkeye. Here we go. Yeah, is right, Chris. I've never had anybody react like that or treat me like that before while recording.
Hawkeye.
Okay. Well, how have you ever had anyone treat you like this?
Yeah, I never have. This is the first. Oh, that? No, actually, that is actually great. I appreciate that. Anyways, so sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties as usual, but as Chris was so kind and generous to go ahead and bring to my attention, we are of course here to talk about Hawkeye, the finale, and I just watched it, and it's not as good as Spider-Man 3, but it's pretty damn good. You know, I thought overall that the whole episode was fun and it was pretty good. And I want to start off, and I want to go to you, Cam. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Before we get into that, Cyber, you had a comment or something that you wanted to drop on Spider-Man real quick. You want to get to that?
Yeah, just briefly, I just wanted to what I didn't get to say when I was talking before, because everyone brought up the ending part about him kind of eventually going to becoming Spider-Man, you know, being the man that he's supposed to become. I completely noticed that too as well, and I just was saying that was one thing I noticed when I was watching in theaters yesterday, is he was wearing the blue and red suit just like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions were in their film, and I noticed that they're really trying to push towards, you know, the Sony verse there. So I just wanted to build on what everyone else just said about that. I thought that was a really cool take that everyone noticed.
Most definitely. I would agree with you. So, going into Hawkeye, the Hawkeye finale, obviously, we knew that we were going to get the Kingpin in it, but we didn't really know, like, to what degree. The episode starts off with the Kingpin. He's here. He's in the series, in the flesh. And he's talking to Eleanor, Kate's mom. And the first impression I got from the dialogue was that they were tight. Like they knew each other for a while. Like they knew each other personally. I didn't know if it was like a real true friendship or if they liked each other or like what that was. But it was clear that they'd known each other for quite a while. And so at that point, I want to just go ahead and ask before I get into the actual like finality of that whole dialogue, just to start off with as a premise, kind of, Cam, what did you make of that initial dialogue between Kingpin and Eleanor? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it definitely kind of teased the idea that Eleanor Bishop wasn't entirely in the wrong. She was kind of stuck having to clean up her husband's mess after he died. So her ties to Kingpin were more of an obligation rather than just any kind of fully willing or consenting interaction. So it kind of gave us a lot with a little, and it added another layer of sympathy to Eleanor Bishop's character, which I appreciated. She seemed kind of one note throughout the series, so it was nice to see that kind of more seedy part of her.
Sure. And what did you make of like the dynamic? Like, what did you think was coming out of that? Like, how friendly did you feel like they were?
Well, the thing with Wilson Fisk, he's generally friendly, you could say, to people that he's trying to extort, or get something out of. It's whenever you give him a reason not to be friendly that he's crushing your head in a car door. But it's that the thing about Wilson Fisk, especially as he's been portrayed in the MCU and in Daredevil, is that he's for the most part fairly soft spoken. He's a little bit more withdrawn, a little bit more reserved, and but there are small little hints in his, especially in his body language that comes out whenever you can tell that he's just not in a good state of mind. Like after Eleanor Bishop got up and stormed out, you could see his lip kind of twitching a little bit. He's just exercising restraint. I'm sure he wanted to do terrible things to her, but so the dynamic between the two of them isn't so much like business partners so much as it is like a shark chasing a fish until the fish tires out and dies.
Most definitely. Cyber, what are your thoughts?
So I mean, that whole introduction I was really happy with. It was nice that they went right from the very end of the last episode and gave us more of Kingpin himself. They called him Kingpin. They had a great introduction to him, and his whole demeanor in that whole scene was like pitch perfect Vincent D'Onofrio from Daredevil itself. And that whole eye twitching thing and the lip twitching thing was like so good. And you could definitely tell that, yeah, like Cam said, he was restraining himself, after her telling him that she wants out, basically. And I just thought it was a really good dynamic and giving us that whole view of what transpired between them and kind of giving you an idea of, why is, Eleanor doing the things she's doing and kind of giving you an idea of what she's dealing with. Besides being a seedy person herself, still she, later on in the episode, she's trying to explain to Kate that, this is all for her and stuff like that. And yet, at that beginning scene, you could just see that, she's a lot different of a person than she portrays herself, and that scene really brought to light what she actually was, and I think that was really good.
Most definitely. I appreciate that, Cyber. What do you think, Renee?
Yeah, I'll agree with Cyber. I think just to piggyback on what he's saying, the whole sort of theme has been running through Hawkeye, or sub theme has been the family. He needs to get back to his family. That's all he wants to do is just be retired from the whole business and just spend the rest of his time with his kids that he didn't get to spend with them for so many years. So when you get to Kate Bishop, where she's doing all this, she did all of her nefarious things, all of her criminal activity, because she wanted to save what she had left of her family. It was a cruel way that a ridiculous, cruel way that he had to die from space aliens. He didn't die from a criminal on the street. He died from a space alien. So her focus is whatever she can do to protect her daughter Kate from this unknown, these great unknowns that we just can't anticipate in life. So that's her focus. So then you see the little family theme run through, particularly toward the end. I won't say what it is, but in each sort of couple with Echo and Kingpin, with Hawkeye and Yelena, he's trying to explain his family, the things that we do for family. These are the things that they're also doing, and maybe they're doing it for the wrong reasons, but or they're doing it for the right reason, but doing it in the wrong ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think that theme really hit home, and just overall, the whole episode I thought was well done. They just jumped right into the action. I mean, heck, no more build up to Kingpin. Bam, there he is sitting in a chair across from Eleanor, and then it just goes from there. Otherwise, I think I just can't find anything that was wrong with that episode. It was just really, really well done, and the fact that Marvel will bring in Class A actors is a tribute to them, because Vincent D'Onofrio, how you say his last name, with all the twitching, with all the facial, with his voice and everything, and his demeanor, and there was like one particular great scene where he walks toward Echo, I believe, and you just hear clump clump, his heavy feet hitting the floor. That's his presence, that solid hulking presence that he brings to the character. that's coming from the actor.
Yes, most definitely. And I already basically put it out there as far as kind of like, what I thought of the initial dialogue. But as it rounds out and kind of completes itself, like that chat between them, essentially, we find out and it becomes apparent that, as we'd already believed in other episodes, Kate's dad was obviously in some way involved with criminality. He was a criminal. He owed Kingpin a lot of money. And we don't know the actual real life role he had or what he did or whatever. But we get the idea that essentially Vera Farmiga's Eleanor character got tied into into Kingpin based off of debt that her husband had incurred with him. And then she goes ahead and tries to blackmail him, essentially, if I understand what happened correctly. It was a little bit difficult to totally understand at that moment, like what really was going on. But Cam, before you leave, because we know you have other stuff to do and you haven't been feeling all that well. What are your thoughts on that whole situation there? Like, what did you think of Eleanor, like hitting Kingpin that hard like that?
Certainly a very ballsy move on her part. I mean, it seemed a little contrived. Well,
Can't hear you, Cam.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
No.
I can hear you, Cam.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear him.
Cyber, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear Renee. I can't hear him. That's weird.
Oh, well, that sucks.
No, you're listen, Cam, go ahead. Finish your comment.
Yeah, it seemed I don't know. I feel like contrived isn't really the right word, but it seemed a little far-fetched that if Eleanor Bishop knew even a fraction of who Kingpin is, I don't know how she thought that, just telling him that she's out was even remotely a good idea. It seemed kind of far-fetched to me that a character would make that kind of a leap. But at the same time, I understand the plot needs to happen somehow, and there are worse ways they could have done it. So I was okay with it.
Guess who's here in the rescue? We subtract one arrogant prick from the show real quick, which I'm very happy about. And then we get an actual gentleman who doesn't run his mouth from behind the screen. So his name, of course, if you don't know him, is Lord Deathman, straight from fucking Hades, yo. What up, Lord Deathman? Oh shit, Lord Deathman can't even hear me. It's all good. He's only here in spirit, unfortunately. Deathman, you there? Well, hopefully we'll get him at some point. But his presence is felt either way. Cam, do you want us to go ahead and cut you loose?
Yeah, I gotta get to sleep, dude. I feel like crap.
Oh, well, listen, man. Hey, I just want to let you know that, again, it's been really, really wonderful of you. And thank you for giving us the time and the effort and everything with what all you already have going on. I just want to put it out there for everybody out there that we do really genuinely, personally appreciate you coming in and, putting the work in and whatnot to handle the Hawkeye series. You've been a big part of it for us. I find that to be something that's very special to me, very personal. So I don't want to cry right now or anything like that and whatnot. We don't need to hug, but we do value what you bring to the table, and we're always, sad to see you go. But, I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. Merry Christmas. I wish the best to your family and to your children and your wife and everything. And you want to plug anything real quick or whatnot? Maybe talk about Cam and Focus.
Yeah, sure. I recently uploaded my latest episode of Cam and Focus. It was kind of a cheat episode because it was a video review that I did years ago that I re-uploaded because the rage in that video was just extraordinary. It's a rage review for a little movie called Jurassic Shark. So it's on the Geek News Now channel. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check it out. It's hilarious if you want to see someone scream and flail around at how terrible a movie is. But thanks very much for having me on here. It was a lot of fun. I definitely look forward to coming back, discussing more MCU projects that come out over the next few months, and I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas and safe travels if you are traveling anywhere.
Yeah, most definitely, dude. We would love to bring in your contributions and your perspective on some different content in the future. I think it would be great. Like I said, you do a great job on the show. Again, thank you very much. Have a good night, man.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
Good night.
Have a good night, Cam.
What up, Lord Deathman?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Oh, man. I mean, I was having a pretty good night. I was having a pretty good night until some dude just all of a sudden flipped the script on me about 10 minutes ago and decided to get all arrogant and mouthy with me and shit during my show.
Wow.
Didn't expect that. But it's okay. Things happen, It's really, really easy to act tough behind a screen, but not very effective in the real world sense. But
No.
that's okay. At the end of the day, I do a really good job making sure that my relationships with people and whatnot are sound. And I pretty much almost never end up with a bridge burnt with anyone. So when it does happen, I don't want to sound arrogant myself, but typically it's because you fucked up, not me. So hey.
I'm sorry that had to happen, Jeff.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. You know what? It's sink or swim, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. I mean, that guy was probably just jealous because we make better content than him. I don't blame him. I'd be embarrassed too. That's okay. But whatever. Yeah. Lord Deathman, we are happy to have you. And
I'm glad to be
Renee,
here.
I just want to go ahead and say I apologize to you, Renee, not to the audience, but to you, Renee, for that little tiff with me and Chris. Oh, we lost Renee. She'll be right back. Lord Deathman, it's very nice of you to pop in. We're always happy to have you. I know for a fact Cyber is always excited to see you.
Hey, Cyber.
Always. Always. I love you some Lord Deathman.
I left. I didn't mean to.
No, you're okay, Renee. I just wanted to let you know, Renee, that
I got about 5 more minutes. I got about 5 more.
Okay, well, listen.
I hit the leave button.
No, you're okay. Listen, at that point, why don't we just go ahead and send you off and whatnot so you can go do what you've got to do? I know you're busy. No point in stretching your time out and anything like that. We appreciated having you on again and whatnot. Thank you for giving us the time that you could. I apologize for that little tiff earlier with Chris. I didn't expect that. Things like that don't typically happen on the show. But there's always, a first time for everything. And, I am unfortunately disappointed and sad that you had to experience that, but I'm sorry. I wish I could promise you that it won't happen again. But I mean, with me, you never know.
No problem. I'll just leave my final thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I pretty wrapped up. I pretty much said everything I had to say. I'm trying to think of something else that I need to add.
Yeah, if there's anything about the Hawkeye episode itself overall, one thing maybe that stood out to you real quick that you just want to reflect on, go ahead.
Well, at the very end, I don't know if you caught they finally had an end credit scene, and it turned out to be the actual opening number from Rogers the Musical.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just kind of and like they said, they started off with, a Merry Christmas from Marvel, which I thought was really sweet. And then they flipped into the, and if you'll see that there was a guy, they keep shooting a guy that's directing the orchestra or directing the play from the pit. And that I can't think of his name, Lord bless me, but he writes a lot of TV theme songs and everything. He's just been around for a long time, and he pops up in different movies. Probably one movie that he was in was called Broadcast News way back in the 80s or 90s. And that's just some movie trivia for all the movie trivia guys out there, and I like to kind of bring that element in every once in a while. Other than that, it was a great series. I really enjoyed it. I think it was probably, and as much as I love Loki, and I'm a huge Loki person, but I tell you, Hawkeye really was the best series I think of the four. Probably maybe not as original, because I think the other shows I think really broke new ground as far as their presentation, but the first two series did. But yeah, overall, so far I'm enjoying this TV series just about as much as I am the movies, and I just look forward to more and more. And you guys have a really great night, and I appreciate being here. Good night.
Oh, most definitely.
Good night.
Most
Happy holidays.
Yeah,
Happy
Renee,
holidays.
I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to mix it up more with Lord Deathman. He's a great guy. I think you would really
I'm
enjoy him.
disappointed that I didn't get to spend some more time with Lord Deathman.
Oh, we'll get our turn. Don't
we
you
will.
worry.
That's
You
right.
have a great
Hey,
evening.
we've got two Sakar folks here on the show in one shot here, one show.
Okie dokie. All right, guys. Good night, and I'll talk to you next
Yep.
time.
All right, Renee. We'll see you
Yep,
soon.
you too.
Lord Deathman, Renee has become a surprisingly very positive and welcome addition to the Bleeding Edge recently. I'll be honest with you. I never doubted her. But
That is true.
you know, you do remember my initial communications with her being a little bit strange.
Yeah,
as exactly what was going on. You know, like and I didn't really know what to think. But now that we got things straightened out, and we found her a name that works and sounds logical, and isn't stupid as fuck, like Loki Bomb or whatever. Yeah, I basically felt like a complete idiot every time that I had to say that to her. Like during the show, I'd be like, "Oh my god," like I gotta say that again. But like whatever, it's all good. But yeah, she's been great. She's been a great addition and whatnot, and she brings her own unique perspective. She definitely does. But Lord Deathman, welcome to the Bleeding Edge.
Thank you.
For those of you out there who care, Lord Deathman is so damn good at what he does as a guest, as a moderator, when it comes to content, and he's just such a good dude that he just has an open freaking pass to the restream here on the Bleeding Edge, and has been given personal permission to just friggin' pick and choose when he wants to decide to be on the show.
Well, I appreciate you talking me up and giving me carte blanche. I do try to put the hurt on some mediocrity. We want to bring the level up. And I love being on the Bleeding Edge. So even if I had to join late, Jeff, I thought I should take advantage of the opportunity.
Hey, listen, Lord Deathman, you are so damn good that like 5 minutes of your contributions outweigh like 6 hours of like what some other people's do.
I appreciate that, Jeff. And I must say, that's a striking outfit you're wearing for today's episode.
That's right, man. That's right. And the glasses are a great touch. Like they really, really complete my outfit. I mean, I look like a college educated Ronin.
Indeed, you're ready to go out there and fight some crime, hit up some bros.
Oh man, I'll tell you right now, dude. In real life, man, those tracksuit mafia dudes would not want to play with me, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't go soft on them. I'd be straight hurting them.
I don't doubt it.
It would be no joke. But you know what? That's a good thing. It's a good thing they don't have me in there, man. And they don't, and they don't have me on the show because, I mean, the workman's comp itself, like amounts and whatnot, would be crucial. Would be like skyrocketing. I'd be doing my stunts with like the tracksuit dudes and actually like physically fucking injuring them, put them in the hospital and shit. So, anyways, bottom line, back to Hawkeye, back to the Hawkeye finale. Hopefully, Lord Deathman has rescued us and decided to save us and jump in and make it clear that he has a different opinion on Hawkeye being the best of the Disney Plus series that have come out so far. And there haven't been 4, there have been 5.
There have been 5. Yep.
Yep. So, Lord Deathman, where we're at, brother, is basically, I'll go ahead and start you off with, we just got done with talking about the conversation between Eleanor and Kingpin and her blackmailing Kingpin and then basically telling her that she's walking away. Never a good idea to do that to Kingpin. He doesn't like that.
No.
Anybody from the comics who knows about Kingpin knows he's not fond of that type of shit. Basically, I mean, once you're in it with Kingpin, you're in it for death. So, so Kingpin comes out and says I think to Fra Free's character, what's his name? Zaki or Zachary or whatever.
Kazi.
Kazi Echo's buddy.
Yeah.
He's Kingpin actually says to him, he wants people reminded that he owns this city. You know, I like that, man. You know what I mean? Like that was Kingpin right there. And you know what? I think that's a very important thing that he said that, because it really says a lot about the fact that Kingpin is now a part of the MCU for the first time. He's coming from a place where in the Daredevil Netflix series, he got out of prison and was kind of like kind of out of action a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he kind of like lost a little bit of his luster and his power. So he's back. And it seems to be he's back in full effect. And he wants to go ahead and put shit in order and let people know what's going on. So, Lord Deathman, letting you start, and I'll go to you, Cyber. What do you make of Kingpin popping up and being like, yo, I want the city to know I run this show?
Well, I have to say that was a death-defying reintroduction of the character and transfer over from the Netflix universe. And as you know, Jeff, I had concerns about tonal issues with the Disney Plus shows and how you could integrate some of the characters that come from a more darker sort of background with the Netflix shows. But I have to say, Vince D'Onofrio doesn't hold back with the character. I did not expect to watch the last episode of Hawkeye and see the toe-to-toe Kingpin versus Kate Bishop, mashup, but that was incredible to see. And I appreciate that the Kingpin wants to get back to Avengers be damned, right? He wants to get back to controlling New York City's underworld, and that's the character we know and love. So I'm all on board for that. But to your earlier question about whether this is the best of the Disney Plus series, Hawkeye, I'm going to go on record saying it is not, but that doesn't change the fact that it is high quality entertainment from the House of Ideas.
Of course. And as we go through the rest of the episode and kind of break it down and get into it a little bit and whatnot, I'm sure we're going to end up back on that topic at some point with a little bit more information to work with, in terms of our reactions and like our comments on where Hawkeye stands in what we've gotten so far from Disney Plus. I have no doubt we'll end up with that at some point. But Cyber, Kingpin wants to let the city know that he runs the show. What do you think?
I mean, that's obvious. I mean, he's the Kingpin. That's what he does. That's what, his premise was starting in Daredevil. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to run, Hell's Kitchen. He wanted to run all of New York. And I don't think that would change even no matter what happened with the Avengers, what happened with Thanos and all that kind of stuff. And so this amazing reintroduction to the character and starting off right at that bat just shows you how much more he's going to be influenced into the MCU now. We're going to see him a lot more, and I have a feeling because of getting the She-Hulk series, the lawyer aspect, Daredevil being introduced in Spider-Man No Way Home, and the Kingpin being introduced in Hawkeye, that's really a Marvel kind of telling us, Kingpin and Daredevil are going to become a big part of the MCU in the near future. And that, he is going to want to try to take over what he wants. He's going to try to keep going and become the big, big bad he is. I don't know if he'll be the next big bad. I mean, a lot of people are saying, of course, the introduction of, what's his name in Loki. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart there with the what's his name. He Who That Remains.
That's okay. That's okay. The Chris probably scared you earlier with his tough routine and everything and whatnot, and so now you're a little afraid. It's okay. I understand.
Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. Anyways, He Who Remains. Who knows where it's going to go, but I feel Kingpin is going to be a huge part. Is going to become a huge part of the MCU in the near future. I don't know if it's going to be an extent of seeing lots of Vincent D'Onofrio in the these more Disney Plus series or his own movies or anything like that. His presence is going to become a lot big, and we're going to be more things about him.
So I don't want to get off topic too much, but I just want to give you guys one quick question here, just a quick response back. Cyber, going right back to you. Do you feel like it was always a plan for Kevin Feige in the back of his mind that he was going to roll Kingpin back into the MCU at some point and whatnot? Or do you think it's possible that events currently, the performance and the results financially and whatnot in terms of some of the movies that have come out, in the last couple months, the last year, kind of the direction of the MCU after Endgame. Do you feel like maybe like they decided to make that decision like while they were walking, if you know what I mean?
Honestly, I feel that, with the Marvel Netflix shows, because they were so different than anything Marvel has done, because they were very graphic, what Daredevil really is about, and stuff like that, I always have a feeling that in their back of their mind, Marvel always had a plan to introduce Kingpin into the MCU. I think because they did the Netflix show having Kingpin in it and everything, I don't think that was their original vision. It just is something that they decided to do, because they had the rights and they thought, oh, this might be a good idea. Because they were definitely going a different direction with those shows prior to the MCU really becoming a huge, name that it is now. So I have a feeling that yes, back in Kevin Feige's mind, he had an idea of bringing in Kingpin at some point because he would be connected to some superhero or supervillain of some sort later down in the MCU's line. So I definitely think that was, I don't know if they were thinking, Vincent D'Onofrio at first, but I definitely think they were so impressed with his performance in the Netflix show that that's why they brought him on. Kind of same thing with Charlie Cox. I think they were so super impressed with what they did with that show over 4 seasons that they're like, yeah, that is our people for the MCU. So yeah, I definitely think that the Kingpin has always been something that they were going to reintroduce into the MCU because he is a huge character in the MCU. That it was a huge supervillain for many heroes, and were a part of many supervillain trios and so forth too, as well down the comic book line. So it's definitely something that I foresaw happening eventually. I just didn't know when.
Lord Deathman, I think that Cyber makes a really, really, really valid and important point in the fact that I think that he's right. That Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in the Daredevil series stood out individually compared to all the other series to the point where they almost forced themselves into the MCU mix. What do you think?
My take on it is slightly different, but it arrives at the same place as you guys. I think, well, if we step back and kind of go back to the rumors of last year and the year before, there was always this feeling that Kevin Feige didn't like the Netflix stuff or that he liked it but didn't want to incorporate it into the MCU because he didn't have personal control over the development of those shows. As we know, he was involved as an exec producer. He probably got the high level on the creative for that, but there was another showrunner in charge of that who did the on the ground work. So it was always thought in the fandom that Kevin was hesitant to bring that stuff in because it didn't have his own personal stamp on it. But, I've never really subscribed to that only because I just don't see him being that egotistical. And of all of the big producers that you hear about in Hollywood, be it Kathleen Kennedy or anybody who's heading up a big sort of media franchise, Kevin Feige strikes me as the most accessible. He's usually the one who's the least egotistical in terms of his presentation, despite his innumerable accomplishments. And he's the one of all of them that probably listens to his fandom, right? He's really always got his finger on the pulse of it. And I think he's always ready to satisfy fandom demand and surprise us at the same time, not just give us what we were asking for, but always going a step beyond. So the question really isn't, was Kevin Feige prepared to bring Kingpin back in, or was that always his master plan? The bigger question, and I think the more important question, is what was his plan regarding bringing back all of the Netflix universe in general? Did he want to incorporate it? Did he want to, hold it back? And I have to say that being as shrewd as he was, I think if you're going to do a series like Hawkeye and you're going to intentionally set it in New York City in the Marvel universe, there is no way to tell a credible Marvel MCU story in New York City without getting into a character like the Kingpin. It just, it just wouldn't have went over as well as it could have to have that connection. And he saw that the fans were really into the D'Onofrio performance, probably looked at it himself and said, "This is a gifted actor. Why would I go and recast him with somebody who has to do all of that groundwork again to get built up and get the fandom love all over again?" Like I said, the man is nothing but shrewd. So bringing in Matt Murdock, bringing in Charlie Cox, bringing in Vincent D'Onofrio, I'm almost certain we're going to get Kristen back. Kristen Ritter is going to come back. Those were some high quality performances from really dedicated actors that enjoyed their time in the MCU. Why you would recast them would be a mystery to me, and I think it's also a mystery to Kevin Feige, and that's why he did it.
No, we definitely could use more hot women in the MCU, like Jessica Jones and Kristen Ritter. That would definitely be good. It would definitely probably be positive for the box office and for the the viewership and whatnot of any MCU property if they made sure to get Jessica Jones half naked in there. It'd be good.
It's not like they haven't done it before.
No, and I enjoyed it. I'm very impressed by what she has to offer. I am. They're highly impressed. I respect her physical abilities. But anyways, I got to point out just really quick that I kind of wonder in my mind, in a way, after listening to you guys talk about this, like, hey, man, I mean, after Endgame and then the second Spider-Man film, knowing what they had coming up on Disney Plus, knowing the characters that they were going to be bringing out in the MCU in Phase 4 and Phase 5, knowing the Fantastic Four was coming on the horizon, knowing we're going to get mutants at some point, meaning we're going to get the X-Men too at some point, knowing we're going to get a Thunderbolts team, we're going to get a Dark Avengers team of some kind, and I could go on and on. I feel like in that situation, I could understand how somebody, maybe not Kevin Feige, but somebody else in his role might think, you know what, maybe we don't need Daredevil. Maybe we don't need Kingpin,
Right.
But I think that, like, you make a good point, Lord Deathman. There's just something very unique about Kevin Feige. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to nail it down, or how to how to represent his overall ability with talent and recognizing talent and understanding the fan base, the fandom, the currents that are going on in the fandom, all of it. I feel like, without question, at the end of the day, people need to remember that Kevin Feige is a fan.
Right.
Kevin Feige is a major Daredevil fan. He
And that's so important. That's so important.
And so at that point, knowing he's a Daredevil fan, that he loved the Frank Miller run of Daredevil, that was like a big thing for him. There's no way you can't imagine that he didn't watch that damn Daredevil series, and fans or not watch it and be like, damn, this is good. Like, this is good shit. And that's the only point I want to make, is just that I feel like I don't see how it's possible Kevin Feige did not notice that.
Right.
So as far as Hawkeye goes, we get past the conversation between Kingpin and Kazi. We end up with the scene where we get Kate and Clint putting arrows together, kind of like, doing some background work and whatnot in the lab and whatnot. And that was interesting. I mean, I'll go to you guys. I'll go to you, Cyber. I personally myself did not find anything really like standout-ish out of that scene. But if there's anything in there that you took from it, go ahead with it.
I really enjoyed the scene. It was fun to see Clint working and making arrows, because throughout the entire series that we've seen different films with Hawkeye and stuff, we never saw who made the arrows. We never saw where the arrows came from. So this was kind of a nice little treat, showing that yes, Clint makes his own arrows, and they had all this kind of tech. I like that they had the homage to Stark Industries by a few of the arrows being made from Stark products. We had some interesting, shots of like different things that they could do, electrify and stuff like that, which was really cool. And I just think it was fun to see kind of like their camaraderie, their partnership develop more and show that, Kate is now becoming Kate Bishop. She's becoming the new Hawkeye. She's being taught how to make these arrows. And so I think it was a really fun scene, and I think it really helped develop Kate Bishop's character.
Lord Deathman.
Yeah, I can only dovetail off of Cyber's very wise commentary on this. It always, Clint never struck me as being I got to go to hardware guy. Like he doesn't strike me as a Tony Stark. I'm in the room with the forge, making my own arrowheads. I kind of saw him up until that scene as a guy who, somebody else makes the payload, Hawkeye picks it up, and he's ready to rock. But it was kind of cool to see a contradiction to that assumption where Hawkeye is a craftsman, and it makes perfect sense that a guy who the weapon that he relies on to ensure his own survival out in the field, why wouldn't he be the guy that actually crafts those shafts and forgive me if I don't know my archery terminology, but the one who sort of puts together the whole package, minus the payloads. I'm assuming that someone like Kingpin put together the warhead for the arrow that delivers PIM particles, and it wasn't Clint that sort of designed that and injected particles into it, so forth and so on. As an aside, guys, I don't know if I'm going to be the first in the fandom to say it, but I'm looking forward to the spin-off series where we delve into the adventures of the bros in that shrunk down moving truck that got picked up by the owl. That should be a 6-hour miniseries.
Okay.
No lie.
Wait a minute. Lord Deathman, I got to jump in here real quick. Okay. Look, Cyber knows when I watch these series sometimes, stuff happens so quickly that I lose track of what the hell's going on from time to time. I really do.
Yeah.
Somebody please explain to me, where the fuck did the owl come from? And what the hell was that all about?
Well, don't feel bad, Jeff. I had to watch the episode twice. I missed the owl reference the first time because I was multitasking. But the owl was in the tree.
I mean, was that the owl from like the Clash of Gods or whatever, like back in the day? Like, I mean,
no, that was just a random baby owl in the Christmas tree when Clint fell out of the window, or rather, I should say, jumped out of the window, but then ended up breaking his line and falling into the tree. He sees that owl early on in the episode, and it's that very same owl that comes to take away the shrunken truck. And you hear the bros in there. I was like, okay, the bros get their comeuppance.
Was the shrunken truck shrunk by like a trick arrow or something?
It was. The Draculas got hit.
Oh, the Hank Pym arrow. I got you.
They got hit by some Pym tech. Yeah.
Got you. You know what, Lord Deathman? You actually also injected the word shaft and package into one of your comments there a minute ago, and I thought that was very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, this a little self-promotion there.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with letting the audience know what you're working with.
Indeed.
But so anyways, so Cyber, moving on from the like in the lab, like putting the arrows together type scene, the build-up scene, we then get what I found to be the most poignant and powerful and profound moment of the entire series involving Kate Bishop. She finally came through for me and delivered, and gave me something to work with that I was able to look at and see her real potential and like the impact that she could potentially have when given the material to work, the right material to work with, the right spot, the right opportunity, and she's at her A game, and she's acting like, at her best ability. When she explained to Hawkeye, to Clint, what Hawkeye meant to her in her life, as Kate Bishop, in that moment, as a child, across the board, what she meant to him personally, I felt like she delivered it and did it in a way that was very like, I'm not kissing your ass. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna cry here. Like, we don't need a hug. Like, I respect you. You know what I mean? Like you gave me power. Like you gave me that inner power and that like, evidence that I could be another Hawkeye. Although obviously as a child, she wasn't thinking about that. But so I felt like, that of course was the preemptive time, where Hawkeye was kind of just feeling her out as to if she was prepared for what they were about to be getting into afterwards, with going to that party and crashing it, and Eleanor and the Kingpin and the Tracksuit Mafia, knowing Yelena is out there still and wants to kill Hawkeye. So Lord Deathman, tell me, what were your thoughts? What did you think of that very poignant, powerful moment with Haley Seinfeld and Clint?
I thought that's the moment of myth. That's the moment where you have a legend and a legacy with really all of the great superhero stories that you have out there, especially when you're passing a mantle along, and you kind of want to find out why is it that the younger wants to sort of take on this role. They may have similar skills, similar powers, but this is the moment where Kate kind of tells us why she wants to be Hawkeye, what her trajectory and what her experience was. For Clint, it was coming into Shield as a weapon, as a professional assassin who then found himself becoming a hero on a team of intergalactic sort of adventurers. And that's his sort of story of becoming a hero, getting the red off of his ledger, so to speak. But for Kate, it was seeing his example, him thrusting himself out into danger, into an alien invasion, only having a bow and arrow and having no superpowers other than great hand-eye coordination and incredibly fast reflexes. So yeah, that was a great moment in the episode, and I think it's one of those moments where if you're a fan of the genre and you kind of believe in the mythical quality of it, that's where you kind of choked up just a little bit. I'm not saying full on tears, but maybe you got a little something caught up in your throat.
Yeah, Cyber.
Honestly, that scene, I didn't feel I was as impacted as you two have. I thought it was a very poignant scene. I thought it was very fun. I thought it was great that she explained to Clint, her personally, how she felt about him and how he influenced her, and basically made her into the woman she is. I thought that was a really fun, point. And I thought it was a very endearing scene. I thought it was very fun. And I thought it was very enjoyable and a nice kind of way to kind of slow the pace down a little bit for the episode so that it ramps back up for that huge, great finale.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? As we always talk about and mention here on the show, one of the great aspects of being a part of this fandom is that we all have different opinions, and and I don't know, I mean, at the end of the day, we all pretty much end up pretty harmonious when it comes to these topics and whatnot. We don't fight. We have contrasting opinions. Sometimes we don't agree on a certain topic or a certain comment or a certain part of a scene or something like that, or how good a movie is or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're whatever about it. We move on. There's no lingering animosity, amongst each other or whatever, just because Cyber was not overblown by the Kate Bishop scene with Clint. While Lord Deathman and I were like, oh my God, about it. So, it's all good. We all have our own opinions, our own takes on this stuff. And, I think that honestly, sometimes down the road, when you look back years later, months later, sometimes you end up being wrong. Your opinion on something ends up being wrong. And the guy you thought was an asshole was right. So either way, just a little side note about being a part of the fandom. But moving on, we then ended up with after moving past that moment, the tracksuits and Kazi go to do the hit on Eleanor, Kate's mom. And I believe at that point also that Echo and Kazi also have a dialogue. And it is very obvious that Echo very much either like firmly already believes what Clint told her as Ronin about the fact that Kingpin wanted her father killed, but or she's at least close to believing it. Like she's trying to figure it out. She's trying to put the pieces together. And and we'll get to that, but basically we find out more information about the relationship and dynamic between Eleanor and Kingpin and their business relationship in the fact that truthfully Eleanor and Kingpin were never close. They weren't buddies. As we talked about before and mentioned, and as I've said in previous episodes, I always thought that Kate's dad was a criminal. He probably worked for the Kingpin, and that's how he died. And or maybe he was a gambler. Who knows? Either way, he owed the Kingpin a lot of money, and so it looks like pretty much we find out at that point that it looks like Eleanor was sort of forced to work with the Kingpin to pay off this massive, massive amount of debt. Because as we know, those of us who know about Kingpin from the comics, from Daredevil, he's above the law. He owns the cops. You know what I mean? So, trying to go to the police or the FBI to try to, get protection from the Kingpin in that situation is not going to get you anywhere. So, obviously we learn even more as the finale continues and reaches its climax and its end. But what do you think, Cyber? Do you feel like at that point you wondered maybe if Eleanor was a positive element, a good person that got stuck in a bad situation? Like that? Did you kind of have an idea that maybe that's where she was at?
I honestly think she was just bad to begin with. I think that she was involved with the husband to begin with and just made it seem like she was the victim. Because when she's talking to Kate about, why she had to do things the way she did and your father was in debt and stuff like that and that kind of stuff, just the vibe she gave off to me was like she was involved somehow, and it wasn't just the husband's fault, it was her problem too, and that she contributed to it as well. And there was more to it than what she was explaining to Kate. And, that's the reason why I think it was great that Kate had her arrested. I think there was a lot that wasn't foretold and that we didn't find out because, she's so actually creepy and evil behind the scenes more than what we seen and were perceived as.
Lord Deathman?
Yeah, I don't think that Kate's mom is a babe in the woods. She wasn't in the comic books, and she's a manipulator. She's a user, and I think that's pretty clear in the story beats and the way she treats people, including Duquesne, who she ends up setting up to go to jail. So I don't think that she was a victim of circumstance when it came to her husband's debt to the Kingpin. That's probably something that she orchestrated herself, and her husband ended up taking the fall for it. So people who are sociopathic tend to manipulate people and manipulate people until they find someone they can't manipulate. And in her case, that would have been Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime. So you get up against this literal and figurative barrier in terms of your ability to manipulate and push people around. And he was like, no, you work for me and you're going to work for me for as long as I say you're going to work for me. And you can really see in D'Onofrio's performance when Eleanor tries to back out that he's like, this is a huge mistake. And I kind of want to treat you like family now, so I don't have to do the alternative.
Yes, I agree. And we all know that Kingpin does have a heart to some extent. He does. He's not completely evil. Just partially. But so we move on from there. Yelena Belova becomes a part of the episode at that point, a loose part. as they all converge onto that hotel or whatever it was, where they had that party or that event. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong about what that actually was. But Yelena shows up at the scene. We see her visually; she's there. And she goes after Clint. Kate tries to stop her, and we get a kind of running scene, which was a little bit whimsical, a little bit humorous, with Kate trying to like get in the way of Yelena to get to Clint, and them going back and forth and like fighting each other, and Yelena kind of being like, "Are you serious? Like, did you really do that?" Like that whole deal. Lord Deathman, what did you make of that whole scene?
Yeah, I thought that was really good. It really helped the episode sort of bring the dramatic tension because this was a really action-packed episode. So you needed to have some drama to sort of really feel like what the stakes were going to happen there. So yeah, I really appreciated that piece of connective tissue was actually in the episode.
Okay, Cyber.
I absolutely loved that scene. I was laughing my butt off the whole time. I thought the whole interaction between Yelena and Kate was so much fun. I think they were kind of like trying to kind of bring the dynamic between her and Black Widow a little bit back into the fray, with it being between her and Kate now, and kind of giving us like, oh, in the future they could become buds and maybe work on something together, or she could come to aid or help or whatever. And I just loved it. I think it was so funny. Some of the lines were just cracking me up so hard, and especially that scene where she stops right in the middle of the doorway and she's like, why don't we go get a drink? It's Christmas and this and that. And she's like, okay, after I kill Clint, and it's like, and then Kate's like, no. That cracked me up even harder out of any of the parts of that whole scene. But it just was fun watching them fight, watching them laugh and have these funny jokes, and then just to spring into even more action along with Clint and everything was just really fun.
Well, I'm gonna kind of skip ahead in a very slight way into like the end of the episode to connect with the theme of what I'm about to say and bring to the table to you guys, and that is the fact that as we talk about this scene with Kate and Yelena, I very much myself in my mind started to see this picture of a almost familial and almost a environment or a situation where there was a changing of the guard and a filling of holes for certain people individually in terms of loss that they've experienced in their lives. And I felt like in a way, in that scene with Kate and Yelena, and then throughout the rest of the episode, I felt like there was a synergy there, an energy there, a rapport there that kind of related to me in a small way, or connected in a small way, loosely, to Natasha and Yelena, and I think that Yelena definitely has a really, really big empty hole in her right now, just like Clint over Natasha. And I also felt like towards the end of the series, when Kate goes home with Clint, it was very heartwarming. And on top of that, you started to kind of get this gist that, like, in a way, Kate Bishop, not maybe in the beginning of the series, but by the end of the series, and especially through the finale, gave something to Clint, showed something to Clint to where he respected her and viewed her to a level and to a degree to where he allowed himself for her to step in and be something to fill that huge gap in his heart with the loss of Natasha. What are your thoughts, guys? Lord Deathman?
I'm sorry, Jeff. Can I ask you to repeat the question?
Yes, you can. So basically what I was saying is just that to be very short or brief about it, I feel like Yelena and Kate's connection and camaraderie and candor with each other relates and connects to the possibility that maybe Kate, in a way, in a small way, in the brief time that they've known each other, maybe started to kind of fill that gap for Yelena of her loss of Natasha, that major blow. And I felt
Right.
also like, especially with the end of the finale, with Kate going home with Hawkeye, I felt like maybe not in the beginning of the series, but across the span of the series, and especially after the finale, I feel like Clint started to view Kate at a level with a certain amount of respect, to where he was able to allow her to maybe not fill the goal or fill the massive hole in his heart of the loss of Natasha, that being as powerful as and impactful as it is, but it helps. It's something to replace
Right.
it.
I
What do you
think
think?
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, as far as Yelena's relationship to Kate, I think they're doing a great job of setting up the groundwork of the chemistry of those two, perhaps being future Avengers and working side by side as colleagues and friends. Whether Kate is going to sort of be something that fills the void for Yelena with regards to the loss of Natasha, I'm not sure that Kate is quite up to that particular task, but I do see a sort of sisterhood forming here. I do see friends. I do see a respect for each other's skill set. Although I think Yelena personally is just on another playing field in terms of being a professional assassin trained from near birth to do what she does, whereas Kate is sort of diving in with the black belt and again, great hand-eye coordination. But that being said, when it comes to Clint's relationship to Kate and also filling that void in, that might be a little closer to what it is you're saying, Jeff. I do think that, with the introduction of this youthful energy, this spirit to go out and be hyper altruistic, be an Avenger, be a hero, Kate captures that in a different way than Natasha. But I could see that, she is filling a void for Clint more so than she might ever do it for Yelena. And I'm hoping that I understood the substance of your question there, Jeff.
No, you did. You did. Cyber, what do you think?
I 100% feel that definitely the dynamic between Yelena and Kate and Hawkeye. I feel that definitely the storyline, what they were going for was to fill that void of the loss of Natasha, most definitely in both aspects. Um, I think that they did that for a reason to kind of help cope, help them cope in a way. And that's why they had that really massive, kind of interaction with Clint and Yelena at the very end, where he basically says that she sacrificed herself for, the good of the world. She did this, she did that, she talked about you all the time and stuff like that. I feel it was a lot about closure is what that whole aspect was about, filling those voids for these characters so that they can move on, go to the next step in the process of where these characters were going. So that's kind of my take from what all happened and inspired there.
Okay. So moving on with the episode, as far as the breakdown and the review goes of the Hawkeye finale, the Hawkeye Disney Plus series with Kate Bishop and Clint Barton, our Hawkeye that we all well and know and love, some of us anyway. So Jack, the swordsman, finally has an impact in the show. He jumps in, says some, quippy, line about it's time to get in the action or whatever, gets a sword and starts fighting the tracksuit mafia dude and whatnot. And finally showing us pretty much exactly what he is in the series. He's a good guy. He's not a criminal, not a bad guy. Well, maybe he's a criminal, but he's a good guy. He's not Eleanor. You know what I mean? He has a heart. He has ethics about him. So, that was positive. I like that. He finally became the swordsman in some small way, and he had an impact. And we end up with the the Tracksuit Mafia and Kazi try to kill Hawkeye. Then they're fighting Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, and the Lumpers come back and jump in. Once again, the Lumpers. And they become a part of the battle, I guess, if you want to call it that, the fight between the Tracksuit Mafia, who seemed like they had like 317 different guys on their show, on the team during the show. And they jumped in, the Lumpers jumped in and like started to actually like kind of join the fight right as Clint and Kate were on the ice rink and taking on the Tracksuit Mafia and using some of their trick arrows and stuff like that and whatnot. We really saw Kate kind of come into her own again, finally, in the finale there, and multiple times across the span of the finale. Her game really stepped up. She really looked like she really was was down to get after it, about her business. She was using her bow and arrow left and right. She was wounding dudes left and right, popping them with arrows, like, on the side and in the shoulder and stuff like that, not killing anybody. Really in command, very effective in combat. And, I want to go ahead and just bring you guys in. Cyber, if you want to start, what are your thoughts or what did you take out of that entire, maybe, I don't know, 10, 12 minute plus scene or exchange that we got there?
What scene again? Please refresh my memory.
When Kate and Hawkeye are on the ice rink taking on the Tracksuit Mafia.
Okay.
They start using the trick arrows and everything like that and whatnot. Jack becomes the swordsman for a minute, and shows his good side and everything and whatnot, and starts fighting the tracksuit guys. The Lumpers jump in that whole time, that whole scene.
Okay. That whole scene. Okay. That whole end sequence was just really fun. Between, the use of the trick arrows to them fighting coordinatedly on the ice against, the Tracksuit Mafia and everyone. And Jack coming out, he absolutely cracked me up. I love that he came out and started using the sword. It was speaking swordsman-y, and some of his lines were just super hilarious. I just really enjoyed that whole sequence. I thought there was lots of great action happening. And then, going back to Lord Deathman talking about the little guys being shrunk by the Pym arrow in that truck, and then the owl coming out and swooping down and grabbing it was absolutely hilarious too. I loved it. We were both cracking up while we were watching it. And I have to go with Lord Deathman out there. I would totally watch 6 episodes of just what goes on with those guys in that little tiny band, and to see what happens to them. I would totally agree with that. But yeah, that whole sequence is just really well done. I mean, leading up, to the end of the battle, Eleanor being arrested, Kate going home with, Clint for Christmas. It just all was so well conceived and so well done, and just really enjoyable.
Yeah, most definitely. And that kind of expands things into the finale more than I was trying to assert or put out. But that's fine, Cyber. That's totally fine. I mean, honestly, I think it's perfectly sensible for us to go ahead and just start, dropping our contributions and our comments and everything and our thoughts on that whole scene and the wrapping up of it, the end of it, and where we end up with, towards the finale of the episode. So I'll ask you, Lord Deathman, you heard the first part of my question, but feel free to go ahead and expand your response to incorporate all the events that then go on after the ice rink, where Yelena actually is going to kill Clint. And they talk for the first time and whatnot. And Clint tells her what happened with Natasha to some extent. And Yelena doesn't believe her. And we get Echo and another connected part of that scene, those scenes, fighting Kazi, because she now believes that the Kingpin was responsible for her father's death. And we get Kingpin taking on Kate, which was great.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Lord Deathman?
Well, first off, everything leading up to that moment of gravity between Clint and Yelena is pure Yuletide joy. I mean, I think the reason that we're struggling to talk about this episode in any kind of a logical framework is because a lot of stuff happened in it. Once you get out on the ice, you've got the tracksuit Draculas. And for those of you out in the home audience, a tracksuit Dracula is synonymous with the tracksuit mafia. Both terms were used in the My Life as a Weapon comic book series. So you've got the Draculas, you've got the NYPD, you've got the LARPers, you've got the Kingpin, you've got Yelena, you've got Kate, you've got Clint. So there are a lot of different things going on. And I didn't even get to Kazi. I didn't even get to Echo. So you're talking about 10 sort of character stories or different factions to keep track of in the episode as you get to this moment where things get a little darker between Clint and Yelena, because she wants some accountability from Clint for Natasha's death. And that's a moment that they had to pay off because they've been building on it since the end of the Black Widow movie and throughout this series. So this had to be an emotionally charged moment. And I think they really delivered. Florence Pugh, as I've been saying on other podcasts, talking with the champions, that's total commitment to that role. There's nothing that Florence Pugh does in that role that she doesn't sell to you 100%, whether it's jumping out of a window or emoting over her dead foster sister. Even more so than Haley Steinfeld, or even, at this point, and I'm blanking on his name, the guy who plays Hawkeye himself. Help me out here, guys. I'm sure
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner. I mean, I think Elena's bringing a new level of that, Shakespearean English actor type thing to it, because I really buy everything she's been doing, and nothing was any different in that final fight sequence where she's like brutally kind of hitting him with that electrical staff at the end of it, really trying to just annihilate Clint for his role, for his culpability in Natasha's death. It takes them a while to get to a point where she can have that reconciliation, where she's going to have some catharsis. And I don't think it was really about killing Clint at that particular moment, but really finding some outlet for the grief that she's been feeling, the rage, the anger, the pain. She finally got to sort of release that in some type of a cathartic experience. So this episode juggles a lot. It definitely moves back and forth between a comedy type situation, some lighthearted stuff with the LARPers. There's that little kid at the party who Jack gets a little exchange with, a little bit of banter there. Then you're going into darker, more serious stuff with the Kingpin and the Yelena Clint confrontation. So this episode's all over the map, but it still manages to stick the landing, so to speak, as the kids would say. Very, very skillfully and deftly done. So I am kind of excited to see a little bit more coming from Echo in the future in terms of her series. Yeah, as you guys know, I wasn't really sold on that character for the first 4 or 5 episodes, but by episode 6, I'm softening a little. I'm not saying I'm ready to get the Echo t-shirt, but I'd like to know more. So yeah, to really answer your question though, once you cross the barrier into the Rockefeller Center, the big tree, and the ice rink, and the huge action sequence they put on ice, yeah, the payoff just keeps paying off until the end of the episode with just 45 minutes, not counting the Roger stuff at the end. They really nailed it. They stuck the landing with this episode.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be getting the Echo t-shirt either anytime soon because, I mean, shit, man. I mean, I made that big effort and attempt to get together with that deaf chick on Tinder, and there was some broken down miscommunication between me and her and whatnot, and You know, I
Well,
guess.
that is what we call irony, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean,
Miscommunication between you and a hearing impaired woman.
I was really trying to show her my human side, my personal side with my limited sign language, gestures and everything, trying to let her know where I'm at, like what kind of guy I am.
Well, there's nothing more human than that, right? That's a
Yeah,
basic biological function.
you know, she wasn't feeling it, and so I mean, at that point, shit, I was even going to pretend to use a condom, so I don't know what else to do at that point. Like, I mean, but no, so I won't be getting the Echo T-shirt, unless it looks really freaking cool. Then maybe I might have to get it then. If it's really cool, I might have to get it.
Yes,
But
yes, of course.
speaking of Echo, Cyber, what do you think? What do you think, Cyber? Where's Echo at right now at the end of the finale, and where do you think she's going into her series at this point? Like, where are things at? Because let's just bring in here that there was that point in the finale where she does talk to Kingpin, and it appeared, to me at least, that she still loves Kingpin and is still like down with Kingpin. So, what do you think, Cyber?
I mean, honestly, how things are left off, I mean, I have a feeling that the Echo series is going to pick up where that left off, and we're going to see the repercussions of what she did and kind of show like her development and growth into the character that she's supposed to be from the comics, and kind of how she changes from the character we saw in Hawkeye to being that full-fledged Echo character. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. Because like both of you were saying, I'm not a big fan of Echo either. I didn't think she was that great of an actress. I didn't think she did anything special in the show. So it'll be interesting to see just what she brings, and if she does give us a solid, mini series to follow.
Yes, most definitely, and of course, I am definitely looking forward to the Echo Disney Plus series. I'm looking forward to, again, really for the most part, seeing Daredevil in it, and Charlie Cox's Daredevil in it. I don't see how it's possible that he won't be. But what do you think, Lord Deathman? I mean, where do you think we're at with Echo right now?
I think Echo has a lot of potential. And I'll be honest with you guys. Again, I'm not really sold on her origin backstory that happened in Hawkeye. I think it is one of, if I could be critical about Hawkeye in certain places, it does ask you to strain. There are a couple of suspensions of disbelief that go just a little too far in the series, but I think it kind of lines up with the lighter tone of this particular series, and that's probably why this series doesn't like reach my top 5 Disney Plus series. Well, there've only been 5 of them, but it doesn't get higher up on the list. There are some moments that I felt were, I guess the right word for it is forced. They really, really want you to jump on board with being sympathetic to the Echo character from jump. They're showing you a really, really harsh and sort of hard backstory. You're really supposed to feel that this character is an underdog. And I think that a little bit of, was a little bit manipulative in terms of the way they're trying to get you on board for feeling like Echo is going to be the next big thing. But at the same time, and much like Cyber, I also had problems with her acting. And this is something that the champions, give me a little bit of grief for. But I do think that the actress that played Echo, her acting is a little one note. There's a kind of scowl that Alakwa Cox does.
No, wait, I don't believe that word. That's man. Scowl? No.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be a permanent scowl on that woman's face. So I'm hoping that we can get better range in the Echo series. So, like I said, you and I don't think we're ready to get the T-shirt or the Frisbee, or the sun visor for Echo, but I'm willing to give it a chance. If Kevin Feige felt like his people talked to him and made a great case for this show, I trust his instincts as the overall sort of maestro of this ongoing shared universe. So I'd be curious to see what they have in store for it. But right now, I'm on the fence. It could go either way for me with the Echo character.
I think Echo just scowled at Kevin Feige so hard that that he was scared. You know,
Right.
and I actually, honestly, I have some breaking news. I have some actual B-roll of Echo.
Holy shit! Unless you're speaking McNuggets in my hands, I don't want to hear it!
It's 10:30 a.m. We don't serve chicken McNuggets at this time.
Yes, you do!
No, we don't.
Why not?
Because we do.
You know what? Did you just hiss at me? I did more than just fucking hiss at you.
Hey, get your ass out of the car. What's going on over there?
Don't you fucking run away from me. You grab me.
Man, God, holy shit.
Enough. Don't make me assume my ultimate form. I will fuck you up. Just wait. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna wreck you. Get the fuck out of here. Just let me. I'm gonna try to show you like a dumbass.
Ma'am. Whoa. Ma'am.
What?
Close that shit. Ma'am. God damn. Oh my God. What the fuck is this bitch on? Holy shit.
What's going on? Is she like getting burned by her apple pie or something?
Dude, I have no idea.
Yes, there we go. Lord Deathman. I don't know, man.
Well, nuggets just fresh out of the microwave. I mean, you might anyone that could have been any one of us.
I mean, hey, she was about to break off Super Saiyan form and shit.
She said she was going to take her ultimate form.
Ultimate form, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, hey, look, McDonald's, the Nuggets. Listen,
I mean, dude,
it might have to come to that.
When she dropped that ultimate form line, Lord Deathman, I was like, you gotta be,
yeah. Don't let me take my ultimate form.
Yeah, and then she said she was gonna eat the guy's face too. Like,
yeah, she did.
Man.
She threatened cannibalism on the man.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Echo, calm down, man. Calm down.
But anger's, Echo's got some anger issues, and I want to see a character that has a little bit more dimension than that. And I don't think, I'm being unfair in that assessment.
Most definitely, I think she just needs a little bit.
Yeah. Hot dogs to the face.
Maybe Brie Larson can give her some acting advice. What do you think, Cyber?
Yeah, she definitely needs acting advice, most definitely. I mean, like, Lord Deathman said, she had that scowl that just seemed to be on in every scene she was in. And I get that the character is supposed to be angry, and I get that you're supposed to kind of, but people eventually, even if they're still angry, their facial expression changes, and hers doesn't. So it's like that one note. It's that one note the whole time, and just like I feel her body language and even just her presence in any of the scenes were all very similar. It didn't seem very versatile to me. So yeah, I feel that she has a lot of acting ability to gain and to learn. Hopefully, from this experience, she'll bring what she learned from this and bring it to the Echo show, and she'll improve on it.
Yeah, I mean, if I met Echo in person and whatnot, I'm a pretty dominant guy, but like, honestly, if she scowled at me too hard or whatever and whatnot, the way she does and shit, probably I would just crumble. And I would just assume my position, and let her just go ahead and whatever with me, because I mean, she's intense. She's definitely a fighter, not a lover. I'll put it to you that way.
Right.
But so, kind of to wrap this up a little bit, the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, all right, as a whole, why don't we go ahead and just throw it out there real quick? Doesn't have to be a big think kind of type situation. Going to you, Cyber, first. Can you rank it? Can you rank the Hawkeye series out of what we've gotten? If you can't, don't worry, it's okay.
Out of all five series?
Yes, but if you can you at least give us your thoughts on Hawkeye's place in the Disney Plus series universe, and what did work with it, how valuable it was.
Well, I can't give a ranking on it. Actually, at this moment, after watching all 6 episodes, this is my of the 5 series. Barely bidding out Loki for my #1 spot. This last episode really just pulled it in for me. It just really made me love the entire series, from everything from the comedy to the action to just kind of giving us this really great ensemble cast of characters and seeing them all in the same episode, from Kingpin to Yelena to all these characters. And it really just was a really fun series. I really enjoyed it. Every episode, I wanted more. I wanted to see the next episode right after watching the episode. Some of the other series did not do that for me. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier did not do that for me, unfortunately. I feel there was a lot of bad reshoots that could have made Falcon and the Winter Soldier so much better, because I feel that one suffered really bad because originally that was supposed to come out before WandaVision. So those reshoots really did horribleness for that show, I feel. And then WandaVision, it was such a dramatic element, the whole entire series. There was a lot of greatness to all these, other series, but there's just something about Hawkeye that just really pulled me in and really made me enjoy it. I don't know if it's because I really enjoy Haley Steinfeld. I really do. I think I've loved her acting ever since I saw her in True Grit. And I loved her in Bumblebee. Pretty much anything I've ever seen her, I've always enjoyed her, and I just thought that she was a really good choice for playing Kate Bishop. Every actor in the series was just really good too. I mean, even though some of them were very one note, like Vera Farmiga, the gal that played Echo, a lot of the other sub characters really brought some really fun to this. Like the guy that played Tara, I thought he was really fun. I enjoyed his whole persona in the entire film and kind of what he brought to being a part of Echo's partnership, and then bringing in Kingpin and all that just really was a dynamic and fun show. So yeah, I give it #1.
Well, I mean, I think Vera Farmiga was effective in what they gave her to do. I do. I think Vera Farmiga is a professional actress. I've never seen her do a bad job in any role she's had. And she's a unique type of actress. She only fits into certain dynamics when it comes to film and TV and whatnot. And but I think she was okay. I think she did her part. And I think that I want to just mention before I go to you, Lord Deathman, that for me, I really look at Haley Steinfeld and I think to myself, what type of evolution might we see from her as she matures as a woman, and as a person, and as an actress, and reaches a point later on in the future down the road where she starts to consider taking on more adult, risque, dark, mature type material, where that'll go with her. You know what I mean? If where she ends up at. And I see a bright future for her no matter what. But I do believe at the end of the day that her talent outshines what she can do with the MCU. And she'll be bigger than Kate Bishop when it's all said and done, 20, 30 years down the road. Lord Deathman, same question to you as I gave to Cyber.
Absolutely.
In terms of the Hawkeye series, its placement, and what you thought it brought to the table.
Well, as the Disney Plus Marvel series body of work continues to grow, I just want to put it out there that I thought it is exceptional overall. The production quality, the continuation of the stories. I think they're doing a really, really good job overall. Now, unfortunately, I can't go to the same place as Cyber in terms of ranking Hawkeye as the #1 favorite for me of all of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. It actually is my least favorite. Now, again, going back to my earlier caveat that all of the shows are very strong in some way or another. But for me, I think Loki really hits my #1 spot. probably shared with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think Loki is just this epic poem of science fiction and fantasy and world building, which is where I live when it comes to Marvel comic books and speculative fiction in general. There's just no limit to the imagination of that as a science fiction fantasy show. And the character development and building that you get with Loki, I think, was first class. The same thing goes for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, although I will admit that Cyber makes a great point about its shortcomings in terms of obvious sloppy story reworking and editing that they had to do that was related to the pandemic. I think it shows a lot in those last couple of episodes. But if you're looking at two shows which are meant to sort of say pass the mantle, a Hawkeye to a Hawkeye versus Captain America to Captain America and the Legacy of the Shield, Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier strikes me as a stronger thematic depiction of that. Whereas it was very light, breezy, like a Fred Astaire two-step is what you get with Hawkeye. Lots of Yuletide fun and holiday glee. But again, there were certain moments where I felt like, not that things were cliched, but you're having a fight on a rooftop, somebody gets thrown over the side, and your opponent is willing to kind of stand by for 2 minutes while you assist your friend who you need to sort of drag up the rope. And I'm like, okay, obviously, they want me to suspend a little bit of disbelief here every now and again. And I think it punched very, very small holes into the Hawkeye show. But where I do think,
Deathman, if you don't mind me just real quick, I think I get where you're coming from. That I think there was a little bit of this going on with Hawkeye.
indeed, a tiny bit of suspension of disbelief.
Did you see? Did you see that connection there, Lord Deathman?
Yeah, there was a shaft there, and this is a show about a guy who uses a weapon that has a shaft. So I'm definitely seeing the linkages there. But,
there you go, Lord Deathman. You brought up shafts earlier, so I wanted to go ahead and just back you up there.
Jeff, I always appreciate you bringing me back down to earth when I'm too far up my own ass. And I will say, though, that I enjoyed Hawkeye. I'm going to end my rant there. But I will say that I think some of the other shows in the Disney Plus roster, in fact, all of them, maybe barring What If, I think all of them have actually been a little stronger than Hawkeye. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy this series.
Well, I would say that I would agree with Lord Deathman, not on all his points, but his premise is sound. And I feel like, essentially we all can debate, when it comes to, the value or the ranking of these Disney Plus series. If anything, I feel like we're probably at a point that would be a really good time, a good timing, a good position and timing for us in the fandom to probably start thinking and planning a show to actually focus on and break down all the Disney Plus series that we've gotten, rank them, talk about them, do segments on them, and do a whole show where we just kind of get into like everything that we've got from Disney Plus. I think we're due for that.
Yeah.
You okay, Cyber?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, of course, we'll see what happens with that. But I just want to mention to Lord Deathman really quick that Lord Deathman, I am sorry that I have not been there physically on the last couple of recordings on the podcast of Champions. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, sir.
I understand, and it's the holiday season. People are busy trying to do things with their families. We love to do this kind of thing, Jeff, but we make allowances. So we've missed you, And we can't wait to have you back after the holidays to to discuss the finale. No Way
Yeah.
Home was a huge blitz for the
Yeah.
fandom. Multiverse of Madness teasers.
Did you
There's a
guys
lot
not?
to talk
Did you
about.
guys end up not doing the Spider-Man review?
They did the Spider-Man review. I was unable to join myself, so I'm in your shoes there
Oh,
because I couldn't even see the movie. I didn't see the movie until yesterday.
well, Lord Deathman, what that means is if me and Cyber throw together a Spider-Man review here shortly, you are more than welcome to join us.
I am itching to talk about No Way Home. So if you put it together, brother, I will be there.
Oh, come on, man.
I feel yesterday was the day to go see it or something because me, you, Renee all saw it yesterday, Lord Deathman. So that's odd.
Hey, you know me, Lord Deathman. If anybody out there is already planning right now in his mind a Spider-Man review, it's me. I'm ready to rock and roll. Look.
All right.
I mean, hey, I've already got 3 or 4 different shows I want to do that I've got planned in my mind, and they'll happen because I don't play around. But I do want to just mention really quick that sakar.freeforums.net, the podcast of champions, is a major longtime friend to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. They are our compatriots. They cover the same topics and the same content that we do. They expand that into different elements of the fandom. And I want to just, again, as always, reach out to the podcast of champions. They're my good friends. And I personally, True Knowledge, Jeff S. I record on the podcast of champions on the weekends, usually every weekend, just not the last 2. And I can tell you right now, we bang out some good content, and those guys have become like my second family. So when I'm not there, I miss them, and it hits me hard. I hate missing a show. I do. I hate it.
Jeff, take it easy on yourself, man. We totally understand. Listen,
Yeah,
we know you're going to be back in the fold.
Yeah,
You're a
but you know-
champion.
No, but you know me, Lord Death, man. I'm a soldier, man. You know what I mean? So, the idea of me skipping out on a recording, it's just, it's unfathomable. But so this pretty much is the end of our episode, our show this evening. This is the end of our Hawkeye review. I have no doubt that there will be further conversations down the road about the Hawkeye series, about Kate Bishop. And I think I have no doubt that I'm sorry. I have no doubt that grandmother was jamming it out. She was definitely, yes, she was in her full form. Her ultimate form at that point. I mean, she was headbanging at a level that I can't even touch. But so I want to go ahead and just really quick, just on my part, for the Bleeding Edge and for Cyber, mention that we really appreciate Lord Deathman for being here again as a guest. We missed you. You're always good for us, and we appreciate you. We appreciate your contributions.
Thank you.
To Cam, we really appreciate Cam being there for us tonight, even though he could only make, half the show. He was great. He always is. Thank you, Cam. Thank you to Geek News Now Network. And shout out to Renee. Renee, you've been very impactful and very much a team player all the way through the Hawkeye series, and we definitely really appreciate that. As far as the other guests that we had on earlier, I'm just gonna forget about that whole situation, and things happen, I guess. But at the end of the day, we love what we do. We care about the MCU. We love Marvel. We love everything Marvel does. We feel blessed to cover this stuff. It's a great time. We have a lot of fun. And we're fans at the end of the day. That's all we are. We're fans just like everybody else. I'll leave Cyber with the plugging, but I will just go ahead and say, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow the podcast on whatever directory you go on to consume podcasts. and follow any of us, any of our social media accounts. We are the MCU's Bleeding Edge on every social media there is. And besides that, I really enjoyed doing this review. It was great. And thank you to everybody out there in the audience. Cyber, plugs.
Well, of course, if you enjoy our content here, definitely check us out on the other social media platforms like he was talking about. You can find the MC's Bleeding Edge at pretty much anywhere. You can also find our solo stuff on other apps such as Rizzle, TikTok, all that good stuff too as well. If you enjoy seeing us here, definitely check out our solo content. You can find me under Cybernetic Shark pretty much on any of the social media platforms from Rizzle, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, anything you can think of, YouTube. Definitely check out that channel. I do my reviews and stuff like that are different from what I do on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. So definitely check that out. And of course, definitely check out, Mr. Lord Deathman on Sakar, freeform.net, of course. Also check out our website too that we have up that we, do as well, the MCU's Bleeding Edge.org. Definitely check that out too, because Mr. Jeff there puts in a lot of work on that, and it's a really fun site. And you can send us questions if you have, and all that kind of stuff on there too as well. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, and all our content's on there too. So if you want to catch any of our shows from 6 months ago, they're there. They're there. And I want to just put it out there too that I of course really genuinely appreciate working with Cybernetic Shark. He is a good friend of mine, a very loyal friend, and a very consistent and reliable co-host. And honestly, I think that probably at the end of the day, I'm not that experienced in the game. I don't know everything, but honestly, I think that probably anybody would be pleased and content and feel good about having Cybernetic Shark as their co-host on their show. I feel like at the end of the day, if he wanted to, he could, go into his ultimate form at any time and blow me away on the show with his abilities. So he's just basically taking it easy on me, and letting me, do my thing, out of him being so humbled. But Lord Deathman, would you like to plug anything?
I would like to take a minute to do a quick plug for my colleagues, my friends, my surrogate family at sakar.freeforums.net. Check out the forum at that web address. You can also check out the Podcast of Champions on YouTube. Got a lot of exciting content that we've already done. We do reviews for Hawkeye. We are going to do the finale for that after Christmas. We just did No Way Home. We've got Echo in the pipeline, and the champions are not missing a beat come early 2022 as we lock horns with the Book of Boba Fett. Check it out, YouTube, the Podcast of Champions. And I'd just like to wish all of the folks who are listening, if you made it this far, happy holidays. I hope you're safe, happy, and well. And finally, I'd like to thank these two gentlemen for having me on the show. It's always a blast talking with the MCU's Bleeding Edge.
Well, Lord Deathman, you are very popular as a guest on the Bleeding Edge, my friend. I will tell you, the stats prove and show tangibly that
the analytics are there.
Yes, people seem to be very receptive to finding out that you are on the show when I put videos out and everything and whatnot. They like you.
Outstanding. That's great to hear.
And even with you just being audio. So just imagine if you actually were physically on here. Like, but I'm going to go ahead and start a petition, and I want to ask the fans out there, and you can go ahead and reach out to us on the website or whatever in the comment section. What do you think about the idea that maybe Lord Deathman should finally just give in and accept the fact that his best decision he could make would be to join the MCU's Bleeding Edge team as a full-time member and start grinding this shit out on a regular basis? Because I mean, hey, what we could do with this content as a team with Lord Deathman on it could be legendary. So, I just want to put that out there. People, let us know what you think. But I want to mention that off what Lord Deathman said, that the people at Podcast of Champions are my friends. They're my family, and they're like my second family. And I feel like a champion. I feel like a member of the team. I care about the Podcast of Champions. I care about their success. I care about their content, their team, all of it. And if anything, if there's anything I can do in 2022 to elevate the podcast of champions and bring what we do over there to a higher level and to more people, I will sacrifice whatever to make sure that I put the time in to make that happen. And besides that, so I just want to say real quickly that, hey, you know what? Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Merry Christmas to your families. Have a wonderful, holidays. We wish everybody well. We hope that you had a great year. We hope you have a great new year. And we hope that everybody has a awesome and new and energetic and optimistic and surprisingly positive 2022. But at the end of the day, for Cybernetic Shark, for Jeff S. True Knowledge, for Lord Deathman, the MCU's Bleeding Edge is not going anywhere. So at the end of the day, on Wednesday evenings, no matter what happens, you'll find us getting after it, banging out, slamming ass content left and right, handling our business, and beyond that, the sky's the limit. There's big things happening with the Bleeding Edge. Our future's looking very bright, so stick with us because you never know. We could get lucky and break out in 2022. Who knows? Maybe we'll blow up, but either way, we'll still be here. We'll be here. You'll find us Wednesday nights getting after it. So for everybody out there, thank you very much for supporting the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Thank you for enjoying the content that we make. If you don't like our content, please let us know and point out exactly what we're doing wrong so that maybe we can improve that situation. Or I can go ahead and just tell you to go fuck yourself. Whatever. Either way. But we love you all out there. And peace out.
It's going down. It's going down, down. It's going down.